Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show, talking to Warren Haynes here of Government Mule. The new record comes out tomorrow called Shout.
Yep.
And are you doing a full tour with that or no?
Yeah, we're going to be touring for a long time. I go from here down south, Atlanta and Louisville, Nashville, but we're going to be all over. We're going to be going to Europe and the whole bit.
Now, you're on the road quite a bit. Your wife, Steph, someone I've known from my Sirius days, and you have a child now?
Yeah, Hudson, he just turned 2.
Right. What's that like? But you're a guy. You are the musician, man. You're great at what you do, and you're on the road a lot. And
it's tough.
Yeah, it's rough, right?
It's tough being away from him, and I've gotten used to traveling through the years, and they come out every now and then. But like recently, when I went to Europe, I was away from him the whole time, and it's a little crazy.
What you said you started singing when you were 7 years old?
Yeah.
Did you come from a musical family? Did they encourage that, or just something you just like? You were a fan, you just started doing it?
Well, my dad sang, and my 2 older brothers were just big music people. They had great taste in music and collected records and stuff. So I learned a lot just from listening to what they listened to. But my dad has a beautiful singing voice too. But not a real musical family per se. But I think, when people in your family love music and take it seriously, that's something that rubs off.
Where did your dad sing? Did he make a living at it, or
no?
was it just like church or something?
He was too busy working from the time he was like 16.
That happens. You gotta work, right?
And raising kids. Back then people had kids much earlier, but he just sang around the house. He was very shy, but he had a beautiful singing voice.
Wow.
What kind of records did your brothers have that you were listening to?
Everything from all the great rock stuff to blues, jazz, everything you can imagine. Between the 2 of them, it was like a library.
So when you picked up the guitar at 12, did you just put those records on and teach yourself?
Yeah,
along with the records.
Yeah,
back then you take the needle and move it back, and play along and move it back. And
so did your taste change from when you were singer to when you were guitarist?
I never lost the value or the respect for great singers, but then I just added to it, great songwriters and great guitar players and stuff. But thankfully, my 2 older brothers would make me listen to what they thought was better than what I was listening to. So if I was listening to something that they didn't think was very good, they made you branch out. That's what brothers do.
It was bullying in a good way.
Artie, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if you realize, but Warren is the number 23 guitarist of all time, according to Rolling Stone.
Well, I believe it.
That
Absolutely.
is, I mean, what did that feel like when that came out?
A shock.
Do you put much credit into that, or you seem like a
really.
humble guy? But still, it's amazing.
What an honor.
It's it's great to be acknowledged, but all those kind of lists, it's like if somebody said, who's the funniest person that ever lived, or the top 100 funniest people, everybody's list would be different.
Right.
So
I think
that's the way I look at it.
Comedy more so than music even is very arbitrary, very like one's own taste. I think most people who know guitar, I think it's more accurate. I think you're pretty much right around that range, I'm sure.
Well, it was quite a shock. I can tell you that. When it came out, they notified our office that I had made this list of the top 100, and I was, wow, I guess I'm number 100,
Yeah.
23.
But they made us wait until it came out
to see where you are.
They wouldn't tell us,
That's unreal.
But my list would have been a lot different.
So your list. What about your top 5 guitarists?
Hendrix
who would
probably
they be?
won, right?
Everybody puts Hendrix at the top, and it'd be hard for me to argue with that. I don't know anybody I would put above him.
Right.
But there's a lot of great players, especially in like the jazz world and stuff, like Wes Montgomery and people that don't make those kind of lists because they're mostly talking about rock musicians. But there's so many great guitar players in the jazz world that are better than any of us. But
why is that, Warren? Like everybody always points to jazz.
it's such a
because just timing, or just born with it.
It's one of those. It's one of those art forms where you have to devote your life to it.
Yeah.
And jazz musicians go into it knowing they're not going to get the respect or not going to get the recognition that I saw Wynton Marsalis one time somebody was asking him how it feels to not get the recognition you deserve, and he said, jazz is filet mignon. Most people would rather eat at McDonald's.
Well, that's unfortunately true. Yeah, because in that documentary with Ginger Baker, Jack Bruce talks about wanting to play with him when he played the upright bass, and because he loved Baker and some of the other guys he was playing with. And he said that first they tried to cut him. They did what a lot of jazz musicians do. They played something really, really fast, and they couldn't believe that he had played it.
Yeah.
So it's about speed too, and improvisational stuff
and technique. You know, those guys have amazing technique. But everybody chooses what they want to do. Like, sometimes I second guess and think, I should have studied jazz more. But I studied what I studied because that was what was most important to me.
Right. And now, what about your son? Will you encourage him to play music?
I don't want to force him, obviously, but he every day he bangs on the piano, on the drums, on the guitar, and I can tell that he's already at 2 got something.
Gotcha. Well, do you think it's something in the genes? Do you think it's hereditary?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
I think it would be, because you said you're self-taught, basically.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive, It's like,
but most of my favorite musicians probably are self-taught. Most of my favorite musicians don't even know how to read music.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's unbelievable. I think the Beatles said, Lennon and McCartney said they didn't know how to read music. But obviously lyrics, I guess you don't need to do that. But there's a lot of music you can get by without reading, most rock music in general, but it's the type of musicians that I love. It's not so much about technique. It's about the soul factor, that when you hear somebody and they move you, that's what it's all about. Where would you put it? This is an awkward question, probably a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it because I'm one of those McDonald's eaters. But I'm one of those guys who loves lists. But where would you put guys that you'd be, if they Googled you, these guys would come up in relation to you? And I'm curious where you'd put them on a list. Dwayne Allman, Dickie Betts, and Derek Trucks. The guys, what do you think? Are they all top 20 guys? Top 30 guys?
In my mind, yeah, absolutely.
See, you said it the best before. When you're making a list like that, it's hard to go, okay, Jimi Hendrix is the best ever, but then you go, okay, well, who's above him? That's when you start to, that's when it starts to get complicated. Well, I don't know if he's number 1, but I'm trying to think, well, who's above him? I don't know. That's
when I think you realize that it's all a matter of taste anyway.
Right.
And I'm not saying that, there's obvious people that are amazing, but as far as who you like, who I like, it becomes a matter of taste, and you can't. That's one of the things I love about music. You can't make somebody like it, and you can't make somebody not like it. You either like it or you don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to let you go get ready because you're going to play a song real quick, but I'll end with this. How much longer do you think Greg Allman's got with the road? I'd love to see him do it forever.
He's doing really good.
I still
right
see
now.
you guys at the Beacon every year, and I love it. I mean, how much longer do you think the Allman Brothers as is will be around?
I don't know collectively how long we're going to continue to do it, but Greg sounds better right now than he sounded in a long time. He obviously had some medical issues that he had to get through, but he's singing really strong right now and in a really good place.
Where would you put the Beacon as far as places to play? Is that your number 1, or is it hard to? Again, it's hard to say what's above it, right?
I never played the Fillmore. They all say that the Fillmore, that the Beacon reminds them of the Fillmore. But I played the Beacon. Somebody said more than any other musician, which may be true. Close to 300 times I've played that place.
I've done stand-up there a couple of times, and
it's cool. It's just got a magical
stage,
vibe.
Cause I've seen you guys there so many times, and then I've done stand-up there now 3 or 4 times. It just really is like you feel something going through.
You feel comfortable there too.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you talking to us. I know you got to sing, but thanks for doing this. And,
absolutely.
Much luck. Again, the name of the new Government Mule album is Shout. Get that as soon as you can. You will not be disappointed, I'm sure. And when we come back, we'll hear from Warren Haynes. And we'll be back after these words.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.